Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Stay Gold channel. Welcome to our first edition of our in-depth director's dives. Pretty excited about this series. Get to explore all our favorite directors and kind of see how they started, and just go through their filmography and really dig deep on each of them. I think for every director that I consider my great directors. There's got to be at least 2 films I haven't seen by each of them, every single director. So we're going in, guys. So stick with us.
To the deep end.
Yeah. Hang on tight. We're starting with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Stanley Kubrick. The icon.
Might have heard of him.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like the perfect starting point for me personally. He's just got that iconic, prolific, kind of like a perfect set of films that I wanted to explore, and it's been on the back of my mind since I've described myself as like a filmmaker or liking films. So I've always been bitched at, you gotta get to Kubrick, Kubrick. So here we go. Starting with Kubrick. Yeah.
You finally made it. How does it feel? Are these your first Kubricks, or have you seen any others? You saw Clockwork Orange, right?
I've seen A Clockwork Orange and one more.
Full Metal Jacket, maybe?
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Or The Shining.
The Shining, yep. And it's been a while for both of them. A Clockwork Orange a little more recent. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of due for a rewatch too, which is kind of nice. For me personally, what have you guys seen?
I've seen Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, and Eyes Wide Shut.
The most recent.
Yes.
Yeah, I've only seen The Shining and Full Metal Jacket. So
yeah, okay. So yeah, we kind of got like a different array of films too, which is nice. So yeah, we started with Kubrick. We decided to do a little double feature to start it off because his first 2 films are reasonable runtimes, and kind of package them together here to start out at least.
A little bit more digestible.
Yeah. So first film was The Killing, made in 1956 by Kubrick. Written by him, directed by him, but dialogue by Jim Thompson. So Kubrick doesn't always write his dialogue, it seems like. It seems like he is more the visionary at this point. At least he doesn't have full script writing.
I think what I read was that he wrote like the bare bones of it, and then he contacted that guy for like his dialogue to help him with that.
Fair enough.
That was interesting.
And it's based on the novel Clean Break by Lionel White. Which I guess like a first note about Kubrick, what I found kind of interesting is that I don't think he has like any original like script ideas. I'm pretty sure every property has been based on like a book or some type of like pre-existing material. So I mean, like whatever you got to say about that, like as far as like originality goes, I don't know. I wonder because like the auteur filmmaker that I respect today kind of like crafts everything from start to finish, as like their thing. But Kubrick kind of takes their thing and perfects it, I guess, probably. Like we'll see later, I guess, with more properties, but because I haven't read any of these properties, obviously. But I don't know, just kind of an interesting note for me to kind of note like he's being inspired by something else and then trying to tell that story.
Yeah, his perspective, his view.
Mm-hmm. Or like how he thinks it should be told,
Right.
So yeah, this was his first one. I did watch Killer's Kiss before this, which is like another really old one. Didn't enjoy that one, not that much.
No.
Not very good. That literally has no script. That movie has no script. And you can tell it's like him just kind of like with a camera filming people and like in suits, Like I guess this movie kind of falls into similar traps of like Kubrick finding The Killing.
Okay.
It kind of falls into the traps I see of like older movies a lot where it just wants to show you like cool dudes in suits like acting cool and like kissing a lady, like
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. So like I think Kubrick here is still like finding his footing as like what type of filmmaker he's trying to be in this time of like these kind of movies. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I just thought the dialogue were definitely weird that like I didn't know that it was written by someone else, but it felt like the weakest thing in this, like it was like I don't know, I was like
okay, interesting.
I don't know if it was the writing or the acting or a combination of the two, but I was like I don't know. I just like couldn't connect with some of the characters. I don't know.
Okay.
Mainly like the dude, like Johnny. Well, not even Johnny, but like the crew around him and the main dude and his wife. I don't know.
I thought the wife and husband was probably the weakest of the whole ensemble cast as far as like acting and story, but I didn't really feel any like letdown of any acting personally. But what did you think, Alex? Like,
This is my favorite Kubrick I've seen.
damn, nice.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, at least we kind of like hooked you right back on board here with the first
I
one.
really enjoyed this one. I mean, for one, you could just tell Tarantino consumed this movie and was like, I'm taking some stuff
100%.
here. And so much inspiration from this one alone. I mean, look at Reservoir Dogs, for instance. You guys just said cool guys walking in suits, smoking. I mean, a heist.
That is one of my favorite Tarantino movies.
Exactly. And this one, I thought the dialogue was some of the best parts.
Liked
it was quick.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it was actually kind of on point as far as like keeping me interested. It was like funny. It felt like unique to each character at times. Like, I don't know. I thought the dialogue was pretty good, and probably to Jim Thompson's credit, I would think.
Yeah.
Not really to Kubrick, because to me, what I didn't find I really enjoyed this movie too, actually. What I didn't find very successful about this movie was a lot of like story mechanics. Like,
I think the weakest part was the narration, and I know Kubrick had beef with that anyways. He didn't want the narration, but the studio was like, people are going to be confused.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I stopped caring about their time jumps because I could not track anything on like, because you're jumping like the same day a little bit earlier, then you're jumping to the next day, then you're jumping to yesterday morning. Like
4 days later at 7:30 a.m., Sherry Petey was wide awake.
No.
That's another thing that reminded me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when Kurt Russell starts narrating he's like at 11:59, they went to El Coyote or whatever. And
That's
I was
true,
like,
yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
So there was aspects about the narration that I liked, but the beginning narration was kind of just like, I felt like they were just patting me on the tummy and saying it'll be okay. Just keep up.
It's like,
But as it went on, it felt more like story oriented, and it felt more justified.
I feel that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I struggled with this one and our next one with the double feature, Paths to Glory. Both of them start with a narration that just thrusts you into like, this is what's going on. Here we go. Here, you got it. The character. Yeah. And I think that was kind of like par for the course for that time too. Because if you think back to The Apartment, there's a narration at the beginning of that movie that I was like, but then it doesn't do it ever again. But it just needs you to like understand what's going on. It's just like how, like they said, the studio interfered and probably added that narration and more narration. Yeah. I don't know. That kind of does sour me a little bit as like past it's not like in its prime of its life as a movie now, because it's still got those old vestiges of like exposition. Yeah. Now you can watch the movie. It's like just introduce me to the character and then like take me on the journey. I'm assuming Kubrick gets better at that. We'll see though.
Yeah, and I felt like, even like I've said this twice now, but you could just see the inspiration, because this was obviously one of his first films, but the inspiration he had, and I didn't know this, going in, because Tarantino's my favorite, but like all the inspiration, even with the dialogue, I know it's not Kubrick's, but like when he's talking to him and he's like, you'll have a lot of money, I think he said, with a capital L, and it's like, that was just good dialogue right there, just adding in that extra, I don't know,
$5,000 for rubbing out a horse.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, I don't know.
Fun,
that was one of my favorite parts, and I was like, this is in the 50s, and this dialogue is actually like not unbearable.
Poppin'. Yeah, And I got major Ocean's 11 vibes too watching this. Like, and this is before the original Ocean's 11. So like you can see the crew being assembled. They all kind of got their unique vibe. I think the man he hires to be like the gunman, or when he's going to shoot the gun and get that guy, this like hillbilly type dude who's holding the dog. Like, it's all very fun, and each guy has their purpose in the story and in the heist, And, And like this movie built towards the heist too, so it's like it didn't really feel like it was like lacking in like pacing or like motivation, because everything was going towards the heist perfectly. So just another success to the movie. Like, it built towards something that you wanted to see, So just successful overall. The way it jumped, not as great, but it got there.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the non-linear storytelling, he had like the right idea and the heart was in the right place, but I think it needed a little bit of a more cohesive story within that non-linear storytelling, because it wasn't like for instance how in Pulp Fiction you start in the diner, right, and then it comes around eventually. But this one, the non-linear, was just kind of like we jump this far in time and then we jump this far back, and then the next time we're like a couple minutes of back and forth. So it's just kind of like it's a little less structured. But I mean, his heart was in the right place, and I think that's some of the best storytelling.
Sure. And I mean, that's what we got to really try to appreciate too, is like how much this because that's what I heard about Kubrick. He revolutionized film, you know. So like this is iconic for those the reasons we've already said already. You know, it's like a bare bones first attempt at like something great like that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's gonna stumble probably, but it's doing it, you know. It's doing it.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
But I also thought like it was like funny. This movie was like hilarious, I thought at times. Like, and some of the cuts I was like, is this guy joking? Because it like jumps to red lightning in the stable. It's like red lightning at 7:15 a.m. He got half his portion today. And like it doesn't have any bearing on like the plot, or it's just like I found it to be funny. I don't know if I was supposed to find it funny, you know, but
yeah,
I thought it had a lot of good like humor and tone overall to keep you kind of on it, you know, with it. But
yeah,
and the little aspects that I enjoyed too was like the little things that altered the story, like George's wife, for instance. Like she played a big part in it, even though she kind of did the sidelines, but just inserting those little things where she like mentioned to George about how Johnny, oh, I tried to tell you the other day, and then he slips to George the entire time. You're thinking, oh, what's George going to do to Johnny? But he never does anything to Johnny. You know, he does something to the other guys who break in eventually. And I don't know. It's just little misleading things like that where it kind of had me in suspense of like, oh man, is Johnny going to get capped? You know?
Yeah.
So that was nice. It was cool storytelling in that regard. Didn't make her just some useless dame.
For sure. Yeah. Cool ending too. With I mean, I like Johnny as the main guy, the Danny Ocean.
Yeah.
He had some swagger. He kind of he had a unique like face, honestly, to like be the leading man. And clearly another reference to like Joker from The Dark Knight. I mean, taken right off that mask, right? That's very iconic. Yeah. But cool ending for that character with the money in the suitcase. Like I felt actual like tension when he has to put the suitcase onto the line.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is successful. Like they're playing with like your emotions right now and how it ends. Yeah, I mean that just sucks.
The defeat in his face when he was watching it blow away, he's just kind of like,
what's the
fuck?
Yeah, what's the difference or whatever he says? Like,
you need to run. Nah.
Yeah. It was fun. Had style. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I guess we can go into Paths of Glory if you guys don't have anything else, but
I mean, you guys kind of captured everything I was like thinking of it. So like the whole everything.
Job well done.
Vibe, the crew. Yeah.
It was really good. I would give this one a 4.5. Honestly, this is like this is the best Kubrick I've seen, and
nice,
you know,
I was gonna give it like 3.5, 4 somewhere in there. I think somewhere.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5, and right there.
Super good. I don't know.
It was
something about it just made me feel like, wow, this is magical and I was dreading these just because, you know, they're from the 50s. So it's kind of like some of them are hit or miss. And I know The Apartment is one of those ones that's like the diamond in the rough. But then we've seen other ones that are just kind of like, God,
they're in the rough. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this was something magic about it. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's just because I love Tarantino and I just saw the things that when I was watching, I'm like, this is it. This is the inspiration, you know? I don't know.
That's what's exciting to me about these dives now is we're linking everything now, you know, with history of film now. And that's exciting to me on just like a conceptual level and like an understanding level, you know, like we're getting back to it. We're finding like why it worked and like seeing the first steps into why it, like if it worked not, you know, with this one. Yeah, that's cool. Moving on to Paths of Glory. What'd you guys think of this one? This was the next year. So Kubrick kind of went right in a row here for the first couple of years, at least.
First anti-war film? Because I think Full Metal Jacket's another anti-war
of
his.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just watched All Quiet on the Western Front, which is the German perspective, and these are the French, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what bogged this one down for me is Kubrick's pretty particular about how he does things. I mean, one of the horses had to go to the glue factory after he shot 45 shots of the horse race.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, I just feel like, why weren't these people French? Why weren't they speaking French?
Yeah.
It's a big
I had a
disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
For sure.
kind of threw me off. Just, but I'm coming straight off of All Quiet on the Western Front, which is phenomenal, and it's
Yeah, I
obviously
wanted to see
it's in
Yeah.
German and all this stuff. But it's like, I feel like how particular he is about things. Seeing Kirk Douglas
Like truth.
as a French
Yeah.
war hero, I don't know.
No,
That took me out of it a little bit, but
it does like kind of fall into like the American story blockbuster-ish, like, because
yeah,
I think I heard Kirk Douglas approached him to do this
he did. Yeah, after seeing The Killing.
after seeing, yeah, right.
Mhm.
So it seems like he's trying to like kind of hijack Kubrick onto his like star status level movie making, like to kind of make his Paths of Glory movie, I feel that for sure. The disconnect was immediate, and it took me out a few times where I was like, this is French. Okay, yeah, I keep forgetting like
Right.
we're looking at a French army.
We're with the French folk.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I did not make the connection that Michael Douglas is Kirk Douglas's son until I watched this movie.
They're twins, man.
Bro, I
Yeah.
had no idea. It was crazy. But yeah, they look exactly the same. They feel like that same vibe. Like they're
Yeah.
wow.
For sure.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Last name's the same too. It's crazy.
It's all the clues were there. Everything. I didn't put it together till this movie. I don't know.
It's funny.
Yeah. I thought Kirk Douglas did pretty good in it.
He did.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely a highlight.
overall I didn't enjoy this one as much as The Killing. I don't think it was a bad movie. I think it was pretty well executed and smartly like written, and like how it kind of brings you down the levels of like the military rank with character in different scenes. The message wasn't really lost. I don't know. I found some of the spectacle or the theatrics to be a little bit on the boring side, I guess. It just didn't really hook me as much as The Killing did as far as entertainment value. Probably not supposed to, because it's a more serious movie, obviously. But
I feel like the most engaged I was with the characters and story was just a little side thing where they're talking about, you're not actually afraid of, what did he say, death?
Death. Yeah.
You're
or
just
dying.
afraid of the pain or something of how you die, basically. And I was like, yeah, that's an interesting concept. But
People
other
are
than
more afraid
that,
of being hurt than dying.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like what you said. It was just some of the theatrics, like when the priest comes into play and stuff, and it's just kind of like,
I
I
mean,
get it. I get what the ideas are, and they're there. It's just, for me, it just didn't land.
Yeah. Other than like Kirk's speeches and kind of like the point, the political points he's making in the film, I thought like the evolution of like the three soldiers that are like kind of on trial, kind of like seeing them deal with the process was like a cool. I don't know. That was like a cool thing to see because they're all kind of like in different places
Yeah.
when you first meet them, and then they're going through trial, and they're all kind of like, well, this is like dumb, right? And like Kirk's, he's gonna get us, like Colonel Dax is gonna get us out of this, right? Like it's not a big deal, and like, and then they kind of just moves forward, and like they all kind of like just have to deal with
accept it now. What their fate
Yeah.
is. I mean, that walk to like go shoot them like was heartbreaking and like sad and like I don't know. That was hard to watch. Like the way that the man's just crying, like not wanting to die. Like, I mean, it shows you like truth in this movie too. I'm sure a lot of like stupid war bureaucracy is like. I came out of this movie being like, war is so fucking dumb.
That last scene with the generals, they're all sitting together, and he's like, I'm the big guy. I was just like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You weren't out there. Like,
Yeah, you weren't
if
even
you
on
could
the
have
front
rushed the
line.
anthill, it's so easy. Go do it, man.
Yeah, right.
So it's stuff like that does get you enraged. So I guess it served its purpose in that way.
That's what I thought was really successful is like it starts with like the boardroom generals who are like, yeah, I'm not going to send my men out there. It's like, well, you got to send your men out there. You're like, okay, I'll send, like, and then it goes down to the front lines and like you meet those people, you get into the shit with them. Then you go back up to like the management level and show how like the whole like process came to be kind of is. I think like the structure is really sound. Also, I mean, this one's hugely iconic as well though, because like, it's like so sad that I have to watch like some of these movies first, but 1917 is like just like kissed right out of this movie, like because like they have like a long take where he's like walking down the trenches and there's soldiers on all sides, and then like the takes where they're going through no man's land, where it's just
Mhm.
really long, sprawling takes of soldiers like coming in and out of the frame and like
Cross it through wire and go
fantastic
through holes or
filmmaking.
whatever.
And
Yeah.
I think 1917 like coasted on a lot of those theatrics. You know what I'm saying? Like
I can
that
see that.
I mean, maybe those were ingrained already in other war movies and stuff, obviously, but it's just I don't know. It's nice to see the history and like they were achieving spectacle on that level back then too. Like
Yeah.
so that was one of my
Yeah.
favorite sequences is when you see Kirk Douglas walk through the soldiers and then he leads them into the charge. Just amazing. I don't know. Really good.
A lot of practical explosions going on. You know,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I'm sure that was like well planned out as well. So yeah, I don't know. This one I enjoyed just a little, like slightly more, just because of like
Okay.
the point it was making, and like I could like I was in with Kurt's character from the beginning. Like I like the dude who's kind of like being told something by superior has like no clue, you know, of like what it actually is going to take to
Yeah.
get something done. Like it's giving an impossible mission to someone who like has no choice. I don't know. I just connected with his character for sure, and
Yeah.
like that shitty situation you're put in, and like
The man of conscience in the war, you know, in that
Mhm.
situation. Yeah.
one of the lines that stood out to me near the end, like after the firing squad, was like when they're sitting there fucking eating their meal, and the dude's like, "Yeah, I thought the men died splendidly," or whatever he said.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this is the human garbage that is like leading people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's nice that Kirk Douglas doesn't ever like fall into the trap because by the end of it, he hates everyone in that room or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
mhm.
so yeah, you do get to kind of ride that whole journey with him, which is nice.
That was one of the more powerful scenes, I think, is that last sequence when he's like, "This is what you wanted, right? This is why you told me this stuff. That's why you blackmailed me." It's like,
Yeah.
maybe he's just a decent person.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Can't understand that. Yeah.
Right.
Gets humanity. Yeah.
It's war, man. Everybody's
Mm.
fucked up, I guess. But
Yeah, I do think on rewatch this one might get better for me though. Like I don't think that there's really a lot of flaws in this movie. I think I just might have not connected with it right away. A lot of like anthill talk, like we gotta take the anthill. We can't take the anthill. We should have taken the anthill. How'd you take the anthill? You know, like
yeah.
But towards the end with like the singer coming into the soldiers, like I kind of took the metaphor of like them whistling over the beauty of like her singing. Like the whistle of war is like drowning out beauty in the world, you know, and I don't know. It is like a very smart movie and has something to say. So I think it was very successful still and a very great movie too. So I'd probably give this one 3.5, 4, somewhere in that range too. Honestly, like it's not a bad movie. It's way better than most movies, and I don't know. I my first taste into Kubrick didn't really get me, but now I'm older. I'm a little more. My taste, I hope, has expanded a little bit.
Wiser. Yeah.
So maybe I'm in now, and I'm kind of getting Kubrick a little more. But this was a good first two films for me, and it really excites me about this dive personally. I don't know what you guys feel about it, but
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, this is the best Kubrick experience I've had. I've left most of his movies just kind of like angry. Okay, not most. The Shining pissed me the fuck off, but I got beef with that. Well, maybe
We'll get
rewatch
there.
to change my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
oh, we'll
But,
get
like,
there.
I don't get the hype with like Full Metal Jacket. I don't know. For that one,
Oh no. No.
I watched it a
That one's
while
fun.
ago. I just was kind of like, yeah, that was fine. I mean, I don't know. This one,
I
Paths
like
of Glory, was probably more powerful.
I kind
just
of
Make it French, man. Make it
Mhm.
French.
Yeah.
Yeah, as if this was a foreign film, it would have been 10 times as more like
Yeah.
engrossing.
Yeah.
You know. So
I just felt like I would have been more engaged. Like,
Mhm.
All Quiet on the Western Front, you're with those German people, but on that side, it shows a little bureaucracy, but it also shows like the actual horrors of war. So it feels more like anti,
visceral, like
right?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it's the it opens up with they're taking the garbs off of the military suits off of all the dead bodies and sewing them back up and cleaning them and giving them to these young boys who are being recruited. You know,
Hmm.
so just you start right there and you're in it and you're like, this is
Dang.
fucked. So, and that was like one of those things that you were engaged in, and since you were with it's full German, you're in with them, right? So, like, I feel like with this one, that being at all Americans is just kind of like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I can sort of think they're French, and maybe that,
Mhm.
maybe in some aspect I am just hearing the French translated into English or whatever. But
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was good though. I mean, it was great filmmaking, obviously, but
Yeah.
definitely the killing gave me the tinge. So Just more war stuff, less bureaucracy, I guess. I like the idea of it's like when you think of the war and anti-war films, I want to see what's actually bad. I don't care about the bureaucracy. I get that that's corrupt, but like the people are out there getting fucked up and they're getting screwed over because of the bureaucracy. So let's experience what they're experiencing a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Less of the courtroom.
It did jump in and out of like the front lines pretty quickly overall.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't a whole lot of actual war stuff. It was more of like, all right, we do 2 sequences and we're in no man's land, and then after that it was just courtroom drama.
And then we'll follow the smarmiest prosecutor I've ever seen put on film.
God,
he didn't stop smiling, man.
No, he was just like, "Oh, my
cocky.
time." Oh. Yeah.
Knew every point was going to land perfectly. He had to counter for everything. Like, some great starters though. I think personally, the one I'm most scared of as like not living up to my hype here in Kubrick's filmography. Once we get to 2001, that one's gonna be big for me. I don't know, but
I have high expectations for that one as well.
Yeah.
I am skeptical. So
hyped. So we haven't. We all haven't seen that one, or
I have not. Yeah.
That'll be fun. That'll be a cool one when we get there. But next week, join us for the 3-hour epic Spartacus.
Damn.
Yeah, these
more
ones,
Kirk Douglas, baby.
More Kirk, yeah. These ones did it for us. Hopefully it continues. I'm a little more skeptical if it will for this next
We're
week.
stepping into color now, aren't we? Spartacus?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. That'll be cool.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the first edition of the Director's Dive for Kubrick. Keep going in the next few weeks. We'll go through all of them. So, yeah. Peace out, guys.
Stay go.
Go.
Die Liebe nahm kein Ende mehr. Und als man ihm die Botschaft bracht, dass sein Herzliebchen im Sterben lag, da ließ er all sein Hab und Gut und eilte seinem Herzliebchen zu.